You want your mommy back? She never loved you. Don't be such a baby!
What if the villain wasn't the villain? What if the characters we feared, the ones we were told to hate, weren't evil at all, but right all along? Behind every Disney fairy tale lies a version of the truth we rarely question. But sometimes when we really listen, the villain makes a little too much sense. And once you hear what they were actually fighting for, you may never see these movies the same way again. Disney villains are icons. They're dramatic, stylish, and dangerously over the top. But they also serve a purpose, to show us what happens when someone goes too far. Yet, in a few rare cases, someone goes too far. Yet, in a few rare cases, something strange happens. The villain lays out their plan, and you find yourself nodding. Because under the layers of evil laughter and sharp cheekbones, there's a buried truth, a warning, a perspective that may have been right, even if their methods were wrong. These are 6 times Disney villains weren't just misunderstood. They might have been right.
This toy's shown initiative, leadership. Well, I'd say we found ourselves a keeper. Hear that, everyone?
Yes, he's manipulative. Yes, he runs Sunnyside like a prison. But Lotso wasn't born cruel. He was broken, abandoned by the child who once loved him, replaced like trash and left behind. Lotso became the villain because the world taught him toys don't matter, that loyalty is a lie, that hope gets you hurt. So what does he do? He builds a system where no one gets attached, where toys aren't left waiting by the window. It's cold, it's harsh, but it's fair. And if you listen to his speech closely, when he tells Woody,
She replaced us.
what he says later can be summarized by saying, that's what happens when you're defective. It's a fact of life. And he's not wrong. The tragedy of Lotso is that he's enforcing the one rule that saved him. Don't love too deeply, because love always leaves. Picture Lotso at the incinerator, holding the button, staring down at Woody. Behind his anger is a teddy bear that once waited outside in the rain. Most people remember the fire demon. Few remember the goddess she once was. In Moana, Te Kā is the villain, a lava monster who spreads destruction across the seas. But the truth is far more tragic. Te Kā is Te Fiti, and her rage began when Maui stole her heart. She was a creator, a bringer of life, until her heart, her essence, was torn from her. Imagine waking up one day, hollow, forgotten, and robbed of your purpose. Of course she burned the world down. The story frames her as the obstacle. But in truth, she's the victim. She didn't want to destroy, she wanted her heart back. And the second she gets it, she doesn't need to be defeated. She just breathes. Imagine that moment in silence. Te Kā charging toward Moana, only for the girl to whisper, "This is not who you are." The flames die, and the monster becomes a mother again. That's not villainy, that's healing. And if you think that was powerful, just wait, because the next villain didn't just have a point. He might have saved his entire kingdom if people had only listened. He's one of Disney's most iconic villains, but beneath the sarcasm and the murder, Scar may have had a point. Look beyond the evil grin, and Scar isn't just hungry for power. He's warning of a broken system. Under Mufasa's rule, Pride Rock flourished for some, but Scar lived in the shadows, ignored, undervalued. He saw how the monarchy passed down power not through merit, but through blood. His entire life he was next in line, but never chosen. Then comes Simba, a cub born into privilege, promised the throne simply for existing. Scar looked at a world where strength ruled without question, where the hyenas, outcasts, and scavengers were starved and mocked while lions feasted. So what does he do? He forms an alliance with the hungry, with the forgotten. He promises them food, equality, a voice. In his own twisted way, Scar was trying to redistribute power. Yes, he went too far, but his reign didn't fail because he was wrong. It failed because he ruled like Mufasa, with dominance, not cooperation. Picture Scar standing on Pride Rock, rain falling, fire glowing behind him. Not as a tyrant, but as someone who wanted the throne because no one ever gave him anything else. Stay with us, because this one hurts. Ernesto is a fraud, a thief, a murderer, but in his twisted worldview, he's right about something most artists learn the hard way. Fame is fragile.
I am the one who's willing to do what it takes to seize my moment. Whatever it takes.
It sounds cold, but in the cutthroat world of performance, it's not far from true. Ernesto watched the world forget countless brilliant artists. He saw that talent wasn't enough, that sometimes the only way to be remembered is to lie. He represents the fear that haunts all creatives. What if no one hears your song? What if your voice fades? His methods were unforgivable, but his fear, his hunger to matter, that's all too human. Imagine Ernesto alone in the land of the dead. His fans gone, his legacy shattered. Not because he lacked greatness, but because the truth finally caught up. He wanted immortality. And in the end, he got what most fear more than death, to be forgotten. And if Scar and Ernesto made you think twice, just wait until you hear about the villain who tried to save her people from mass extinction and got turned into a punchline for it.
Tell me about it.
She's eccentric, hilarious, a fashion icon, but Isma was also the only adult in the room. Before she ever turned Cusco into a llama, Isma was trying to hold an empire together. The emperor, meanwhile, was self-absorbed, cruel, and actively evicting innocent villagers to build a water slide. Isma wasn't wrong to be outraged. In fact, many early drafts of the film, when it was still titled Kingdom of the Sun, painted Isma as a priestess who believed Cusco's rule would lead to destruction. And she was right. His careless decisions nearly wiped out entire communities. So yes, turning him into a llama was extreme. But when diplomacy fails, what's left? Cusco only becomes a better ruler because of what Isma did. Without her, he stays arrogant, isolated, and blind to suffering. She didn't just change him, she saved him. Picture Isma in her lair surrounded by ancient scrolls and formulas, not just scheming, but desperate to fix what a spoiled emperor was too immature to see. Sometimes the villain is just the one who cares the most.
You are not leaving this tower! Ever!
She's controlling, she's manipulative. She locks Rapunzel in a tower for 18 years. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Gothel never hurt her. She fed her, protected her, gave her art supplies, books, theater, and education. And all the while, Rapunzel believed she was loved. Of course, that love was selfish. Gothel didn't want Rapunzel to flourish. She wanted her to stay young. But is that so different from how many parents behave? Gothel's biggest sin isn't cruelty, it's control. She represents every adult who says, "You're not ready." Every parent who clings too tightly, who loves in a way that suffocates. And when she says,
"The outside world is a dangerous place,"
she's not entirely wrong. Because the moment Rapunzel steps outside, she's hunted, manipulated, chased, and nearly killed. Gothel wasn't lying. She was just protecting the wrong things. Imagine Gothel watching Rapunzel leave the tower, not with fury, but with silent terror. Because once she steps outside, Gothel knows. She'll never come back. And that's the price of possessive love. It always ends in loss. In the end, maybe the line between hero and villain isn't as clear as we thought. Because some of these so-called monsters weren't trying to destroy the world. They were trying to save it, to save themselves, to protect something that mattered, even if it meant becoming the villain in someone else's story. And maybe that's what makes them human. So now it's your turn. Which of these villains do you think was actually right? And are there others who deserve a second look? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to show some love by clicking the like button. Also, if you want more hidden truths and emotional rewrites of the animated stories you thought you knew, subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Because the next time you hear a villain speak, you might want to listen